Hey everybody, just making sure you can hear me okay. Okay, I see in the chat you guys can, so that's good. So today we're going to do a little bit of inequalities and absolutes. Personally I find that to be a pretty solid topic. I think there's a lot that they'll test on. I mean, this is actually a pretty interesting topic because they don't have pure math data sufficiency anymore, as we know, and I talk about this a lot. Can everyone else hear me? I see one person said no. Let's make sure. All right, I'm talking now. Okay, good. All right, so I talk about this a lot, pure math data sufficiency, right? This is something that they used to test on in DS, right? But now they don't. So inequalities have kind of taken this new spin, and we just have to be in a position where we're understanding that there's not going to be pure math in data sufficiency in general. So the way to deal with this is to just understand that it's really going to be something that's present in word problems, but at the same time, you'll see inequalities in data sufficiency. You just won't be in a position where it's testing you in pure math. It's really going to be more so word problem-based data sufficiency. Now, if we have a chance to get to that, we will. One of the things I will tell you, though, is that we have a ton of that in our, and I'm sure you guys remember this, we have a ton of that in our word problems chapter. It's a good place to start when it comes to looking at those. Now, here's the coolest thing. The concepts and what you're learning in the regular inequalities chapter, those are going to show up in inequality word problems too. So it's not like it's going to be this whole different thing. It's just going to be in the format of word problems. So as I said, if we have a chance, we'll get to some of those today. If we don't, then we won't. So the first thing I actually want to do here is a min-max problem. We talk about min-max a lot in different circumstances. I want to talk about min-max in the realm of inequalities. So let's start with this here. Give me one quick sec. I'm going to pull it up. Now, as you guys get the answer, put it in the chat box, and then we will talk about it. All right, so start with this here, and then we'll go from there. Answers trickling in. I'll give you guys another minute here. All right, so we're talking about maxing this out, PQ, or we're doing the maximum value of PQ minus the minimum possible value, right? So the max value is either going to be two negatives or two positives, right? Because we're talking about products. It should be pretty clear that the max is going to be minus 100 times minus 10, which is positive 1,000. That should be decently clear to everybody. And then the minimum, you're trying to get as deep into negative territory, as you possibly can, right? So we're talking about, 24 times minus 100 or minus 10 times 15. It's clear that it's going to be 24 times minus 100, which is minus 2,400. So when you do that math out, 100 minus a minus 2,400 flips the sign. So that's why we end up getting 3,400 as our answer. So hopefully that wasn't too bad for everybody, and that felt, pretty doable. We're just taking, we're kind of using a little bit of number sense in addition to, understanding our positive and negative rules, basically. Now, another thing we can do, as we know, is we can add inequalities together, and that's something that's present, you'll see in this problem here. So I want you guys to take a look at this. Then I want to talk about equations with inequalities too, but we'll do this first, and then we'll go from there. So big question here, were you guys adding these inequalities together? I'm guessing you were based on how my precursor to what was going on here. So yeah, all you got to do is, it's just like adding equations, right? Now, of course, you can basically manipulate first. So if you have 3y plus 2x is greater than 20, what that's going to do is you can keep that there, but you can also say that y minus, you're allowed to do that, is greater than 0. So you see, when you add these together, you'll notice the 2x's go away, 4y is greater than 20, so y is greater than 5. This is a skill you want to really get good at, because I don't want you thinking that things are that much different between equations and inequalities. I think people do that, and then they ultimately kind of do things, they treat them differently, and I don't think you actually have to. So I want you to keep that kind of tucked away in the back of your mind. Now I want to talk a little bit about compound inequality. Well, actually, no, inequalities and equations, like I said, I think that's better. So, for example, take a look at this here. See some answers coming in here. All right, so I presume everybody, you understood you needed to get everything in terms of y, so it made sense to say x is equal to minus 20 minus 2y, right? And then you subbed in this for x, so now you have 5 times, and the goal is always to get it in terms of the variable that you care about. So minus 20 minus 2y plus 3y is less than 5, right? So then you have minus 100 minus 10y plus 3y is less than 5. You can add the 100 over, and then you can also combine the y's, so you get minus 7y is less than 105. And then, of course, flipping y is greater than minus 15. So hopefully that was also not too bad for you guys. You know, again, these are things you're doing in equations actively, so why not do them with equations and then inequalities? It's the same thing, you know what I mean? So if you can get in the habit of not, you know, putting equations kind of on a different pedestal, then, you know, you'll be good to go with this stuff. All right, other interesting question types, something like this. I've seen this on GMAT, on some of the practice exams here, where you're kind of in a situation where you're being given kind of a gross looking number and expecting to do something with it. So take a look at this as well. So did you guys notice that this was really just testing rules of negative proper fractions, and you didn't actually have to use this number here? All right, cool. So if you're on the test and you know, I mean, there's two things. How about in Roman numeral 3? Like, did you guys really think you had to do a power of 7 and a power of 5? Or did you guys think that, you know what, it's just testing me on kind of 2 odd powers? So that's another thing, because those can get pretty big. Even if you were to use -1/2, those powers get pretty big. So really, you could have done any odd powers. You could have done 3 and 1. You could have done, you could have done 5 and 3, anything like that. So the thing is that, you know, you want to be in a position where you're kind of being as strategic as you can. So did anyone adjust this adjust that exponent. Let's say we all went with -1/2, okay? That's the starting point. Did anybody adjust Roman numeral 3 as an exponent? And do you understand that you can? That's another thing. I want to make sure you guys understand that it's possible. All right, I don't see any answers here. I'm going to assume you guys think it's possible. What I'm saying is that you could have just changed this. I mean, heck, you could have changed it to end of the third. Is that greater than end of the 1? It's the same thing. It's just testing principles here, right? So when you now test Roman numeral 3, now you're saying -1/2 to the third, and you're saying -1/2 to the first. Is -1/8 greater than -1/2? Well, the answer is it is greater because it's closer to 0 on the number line, right? So therefore, Roman numeral 3 is correct. But again, notice I had to do less math in using these values than these values. Does that make sense to everybody here? Okay. And then obviously the first two are very simple because you're talking about an even exponent compared to an odd exponent. The even exponent's going to be positive, the odd's going to retain its sign. So that's what we have going on there. So anyway, none of this should be too bad. But these are just strategies that, I want you guys to start employing, so you feel like, you have something in place to deal with, exponents like this. All right, well, we can kind of talk a little bit now. Yeah, E is correct. E is correct. We can kind of do a quick Q&A here with some of the remaining time, questions that you guys have about your GMAT, questions you have about your studying. I know, I'm sure some of your exams are coming up. So or questions about Target Test Prep if you guys are in the course. Is there anything you guys were wondering about or wanted to talk about? A 515, I mean, you're pretty close to a 555. I would say that, if the scales kind of tip in your direction on the test, then I do believe that you have a pretty good shot at, that type of score. I think it's difficult to say for sure, like nothing's guaranteed on this test because it's such a weird, finicky exam. But yeah, I mean, if a couple questions fall your way, I think you'll be good. What should you focus on now? Well, it depends. Like if you've gotten through Target Test Prep, then, I would get into maybe doing some mixed official guide work, maybe doing 1 or 2 more practice exams. And of course, when you take those practice exams, just be extremely, maybe get into some mixed practice with the official guide and just be extremely cognizant of what you're getting wrong. The thing I always tell people, even the most advanced students, I always say, look, if you're not getting your score goal, it's not about the hardest questions in the world that you're not getting right. It's about the ones that are quote unquote in your wheelhouse that you're not getting right. And, I see that a lot. So you've got to just be very, you have to really hyper-analyze your tests, right? And ask yourself, like, am I getting stuff wrong that I should get right? Or if someone doesn't get their score goal on a practice test, like I say it all the time, like, look at the stuff you're getting wrong. If it's in your wheelhouse and you should be getting it right, then there you go. That's the stuff you want to look at. Let's see. How much should the extra hard questions? 90. You're getting 90 to 100 in easy. That's good. Hold on. I'm missing this. In medium, Oh yeah, hard 70 to 80% accuracy is fine. You're fine. That's good. That's really good, actually. And again, you got to take everything with a grain of salt. Like, why are you getting questions wrong? Is there a huge content gap? Is it just, I'm just getting them wrong because, and remember too, in TTP, all the hard questions are laid out in one chapter test. You're not going to necessarily see 15 hard questions in a row in the GMAT. So it is a bit taxing to just do hard questions in a row. So that could lend to why maybe you're getting some of them wrong. That's another reason as well. Any other questions? Anything else you guys wanted to discuss? What changes when you increase your score goal? You see more content and more lessons. So more questions, more lessons, basically. Yeah, data insights. Yeah, you just got to practice. It's tough. Like, I even do this with my tutoring students. Like, that's why we generally do a lot more, math-based stuff than we do DI, because, it's hard to find, like, specific patterns to DI questions. Sometimes you just have to do a lot of practice, like anything, see what you're getting wrong, and then make, adjustments based on that. We don't have our own exams. We recommend the official ones, but remember those can be repeated. So, you have 6 total, but you can repeat each one once, and then you'll see new questions with the first repeat, which is nice. Improve your time management. No, I wouldn't skip a question in the middle. I would be, if you don't think you're going to get it right, then yeah, take a guess. But I think it's just a matter of practicing, being able to recognize what's being asked quickly, and then essentially immediately attack the question. That's really, but it just takes time, like there's no snapping your fingers and being faster per se. It takes a lot of time. All right. Any other questions? Yeah, well, you got to know what your weaknesses are. So if you're not great at functions, for example, then, you see a function question, you give it 15 seconds, then you call it, right? It's really difficult to predetermine that, but you can predetermine it to a point, but you just got to be careful, that you're not just, because once you get in the habit of skipping, like you might just start skipping everything and not even realize it. You just got to be really, really careful with when and how you're doing that. All right. Well, this is pretty good. We should be back next week. No, we don't have 3 exams. We have you do the official exams. I think we might be skipping next week, but, we'll be back shortly after that. So, if you guys need anything, again, feel free to reach out. We're always here to help. And, keep studying hard. Have a safe, healthy weekend, and we will talk to you soon. That's a personal decision, your order. So I would go and just tinker with it and see what you like best. Well, just reach out to us on live chat if you need us. You can go to the website and hit us up on live chat. All right, everybody. Thank you so much. And we'll be here if you need us. Talk to everybody soon.